Welcome, welcome everyone, and thank you for being with us here today for your webinar 10 tips to establish your personal brand and presence. So we are very happy to have you with us. We are very excited. This is the very first time we run a webinar together. We have done a lot of work in the past, and we decided that we wanted to join our knowledge and bring today 10 tips to get you started with your personal brand and presence. So I just wanted to share a little bit about me. Like, obviously you might have seen my bio, but I just wanted to quickly share what I am about. I am Alba Gomez. I am from Colombia, as you can hear from my very strong accent, and I am totally passionate about working with individuals, professional and business owners, really helping you to bring out into your image, your presence, and your personal brand, the essence of who you are. So I am all about helping you connect to your confidence, really feeling happy and love the person you are today, and then just making the most out of how you present yourself visually into the world. And this is the beautiful Julissa, and I let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Alba. Hi, everyone. My name is Julissa Shrewsbury. My business is New Work Consulting, and I absolutely love working with people both on an individual and team level to bring out who they are into their personal brands and into their business brands as well, because I really believe that people do business with people, and it's about showing your strengths and who you are as an individual, and then collectively as a team if that's you. So for me, it is really about bringing out the clarity around what value you bring to people in your words and in pictures as well.
Awesome. And then today is all going to be about us sharing our top tips on the important, for you understanding the importance of actually creating a presence and a personal brand that reflects the real you. And something that we truly believe and base our work on is in the fact that you can be the most capable person, the most intelligent, the best at what you do in the corporate world or within your business. But if your presence and your personal brand is not projecting that message into the world, you're gonna get lost. We live in such a busy world. We are exposed to so many brands. And before I continue, I'm going to clarify, every single individual has a brand. Even if you are in the corporate world, if you're a personal, if you have your own business, even a stay-at-home mom, we all create an impression and we all create an experience in people's lives when they hear our name. So it is really important that you stand out, because we are all the time, if we jump on the internet, within a few seconds, we're going to be exposed to so many people and so many brands. So if you don't stand out, and if you are not making sure you are connecting with people by standing out and showing them what you are about, you're going to go unnoticed. And you can be the best at what you do, but if you don't stand out, people are not going to, they're not going to have that opportunity to connect with what you is it that you have to offer. So that's why we're very excited today to share with you all the best tips we have to connect with people and make yourself memorable online and in person. So with that, let's get started. So let's get started. So I'm gonna start with my tip number 1. And as I said before, I want you to understand that you are your brand. So don't overcomplicate this. Just really get into the place in which you understand that you're your brand. So when people think of you, of your name, what is it that you want people to think of you? So I come from a place in which I truly believe that being authentic to who you are is everything here. This is not about you pretending to be someone you're not, or just creating some or matching the expectations of your industry. I think there's some standards from which you obviously have to consider the industry you're working on, but I am all about you being authentic about who you are, but bringing your best foot forward, as in stepping into the best version of who you are. So I would like you to think of what is the essence of your brand. And by that I mean, what is it in 3 words? How would you describe what makes you you, and what are the impressions you are creating with people? So for example, in my case, my 3 words will be professional, passionate, and warm. So I am all about connected with people from a very passionate and warm place, in which I actually love having my interactions one-on-one with my clients, but I also want to come as a professional and capable woman. So those 3 brand words describe me, but describe how I present visually, how I use my body language, what my website says, what my posts on Facebook say, what my LinkedIn profile says. So it's like all the feelings that I want people to have with me. So there will be some questions that we'll ask you today that you might have time to answer straight away, or some that you might want to come and reflect later. But from your brand essence, I want you to put in 3 words. What is it that makes you you? What is it that describes you? And how is it that you want to be perceived by people? And that is the most important starting point of creating your personal brand in person.
Well, my first tip, and I suppose a lot of what we talk about will be coming from different angles and talking about some similar themes, I think you'll find, because we do have some similar beliefs about what are the most important things that make up your personal brand. So my first tip is to understand what makes up your personal brand in the first place. And I'll be talking primarily about your representation of your personal brand online. And it's amazing how many different things do actually come into that. And people aren't always aware that all these little touch points online do affect how you are perceived. So, for example, your not only your formal representations of your brand, like say your bio on your website or the website itself, your LinkedIn profile page, but other things like your Facebook posts to your friends, and having an awareness of how private that really is, who the audience is, who's actually seeing your stuff. So really, I think understanding that your personal brand is made up of lots of different touch points, both in person and online, and that if you are not creating your personal brand and shaping it the way that you want to be perceived, it is being shaped for you without your knowledge. So it is good to be a little bit strategic about this. On that, if I can get you to just have a think about how well you know your personal brand, and maybe give yourself a score out of 10. So 10 being you are really strategic about every single thing, visual, language that you post online, and you're really, really hyper aware of everything that goes on there about you or by you, and that you've really thought about how that impacts your image. And then 0 being you either aren't really online very much, you're not on social media and you never think about your personal brand, or maybe you are on there a lot but you just post throughout the day and don't really think about how that might be shaping people's perception of you. Remembering that social media isn't as private as we would like to think it is, so it's not just necessarily your friends that are seeing you. A good test is to Google yourself as well and see what comes up. That's always an interesting one if you haven't done that.
Absolutely. And one thing that I forgot to say is, if there's some questions that come up, please feel free to post them on the question box and we will be able to come back to your questions at the end. So then the second one on my side when it comes to creating your strong personal brand in person is, I want you to think about your presence. And by presence, I mean the energy that you bring with you when you enter a room. And I want you to realize that your presence will directly affect the results you get in life. Your presence will determine if people like you or not, if they want to have a conversation with you, if they want to buy from you, if they want to hire you. So understanding that your presence has many different components, and I'm going to get to the visual ones in a second, but on this one I want to focus on your confidence and your body language. So first of all, I want you to understand that your confidence will be sensed. People will sense how confident you are. And confidence is something that you can acquire. It's not a personality trait. It's a skill you can develop. And also understanding that your body language will have a massive impact on your presence. So I want you to, for a second, think. What is your body language at the moment? And if you are making sure that your body language is aligned with your message. So with this, what I'm saying is statistics show, and there's a lot of research on body language and colors and styles and all the things that I'm talking about. They're all based in scientific studies and research done in very big universities in terms of social psychologists, people who are specialized in body language. And these studies show how over 90% of the impression, of the feeling of that presence that the people get of you when they first meet you, 90% of that is visual. So it's coming through the eyes. So that is how you're dressed and how you're using your body language. And only 7% of that impression is formed based on the words you use. So what this study shows us is how over 90% of the impressions we are creating have very little to do with the words we use. And I'm not saying they are not important. What I am just wanting to bring to your attention is that if your body language and how you are presenting yourself are not in line with the words you're using, your message is going to get lost. So as I said, it is important that you make sure that your body language is making you be seen as your best self, is making you being seen as a very confident person. And I wanna introduce you here to a story. Jill is a client that we have worked with, and it was really interesting for Jill to really understand how she is such a capable, intelligent woman. However, with her body language, she was coming across as a little bit shy and introverted. So it's how you understand that presence and that body language is going to give you that edge. So we want to be seen, perceived, and being perceived as that person that is kind of like, oh, who is she or who is he? I want to really get to know her. So how making simple adjustments to your body language can actually make you be perceived as that confident person you actually are, or if you're not, can help you feel more confident. So I want you to, for a second, score yourself between 0 and 10. 0 obviously being not happy, and 10 being super happy with how would you score the presence? That energy that you're bringing into a room, is it amazing? Are you that person that you are, people are like wanting to get to know you and noticing you, or you're just really scared of being visible and you're just going under the radar and hiding from opportunities and connections? So score yourself from 0 to 10 with your presence.
Be interesting to get people's comments on these areas as well. So do feel free to put comments and questions in as we go along, and we'll have a look towards the end. So my second, we're only up to the second one here. My second main tip for your personal brand presence is around having a clear strategy. And I was thinking about my words, Alba, when you said, you know, what are the 3 words that describe you? And one for me would definitely be strategic. I am very creative, I'm energetic, I've got lots of ideas, but it is about having a clear strategy. It's really important in my work with my clients and my own work as well for myself. So when it comes to your personal brand, having a clear strategy starts with your goals and knowing your purpose for building your personal brand presence. So what do you really want to get out of why are you going to put this effort into building a personal brand and really thinking about that and communicating it on a regular basis? What are you trying to get? So it might be that you're building a new business, and you want to get some clients or some customers, or just an awareness of your business. It might be that you're launching a book, or you want to do more public speaking. It could be that you are very happy in your career, but maybe you just need to be positioned a little bit more as an expert or an authority in your field in order to be sort of put in the path of new opportunities. So think about what is your top 1 to 3 goals, and perhaps later on you might have some time, make a note to yourself to write down what are my top goals, and no more than 3. 1 is fine as well, on why you want to work on your personal brand. What do you want to get out of it? And that then informs your purpose with your personal brand. So from that point, you then need to get that clarity, as Alba said, on your message, on your top 3 words that describe you. I like to also extend that towards sort of your key messages around why would people want to work with you or with your business. So think about it in terms of the value you bring to them. If you get stuck on this, and for ladies, I have found this has definitely been the case, that many women will get stuck on what value they bring and what they are awesome at, but they can easily talk about a friend and say what they're great at. I'm generalising, of course, and business owners are a little bit better at this than women in the corporate world, I find, overall, because business owners have to learn to promote themselves and their business. But if you, so I mean, as I said, generalisations, but it's a pattern that I do find. If you're struggling to try and really get those 3 key messages out about what value you bring to your stakeholders, such as your clients or your customers, then think about what others have said about you in the past, why they've loved working with you, what outcomes did they get, how you made a difference to them. It could be in other roles, in other jobs that you've had before, but they are traits that you've brought into what you're doing now. So think in terms of the value that you bring, and be really clear on those, because you are going to need to be able to demonstrate those and communicate them. And finally, you need to know your audience and think before you post. So who is it that you're targeting? Are they the people that you are actually reaching online? If not, you need a strategy to address that. And then what language do you need to use that resonates with them, and what messages as well?
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so my third tip is going to be all about your style personality. And I will like to be a little bit controversial here. I do hear this a lot, especially for women, like, because I guess for men, when it comes to presenting in the corporate world or having their own business, you get on a tie. And even though I do hear also the comment, do I actually need to wear a tie? So there's something that when it comes to first impressions, we need to consider, and there are the expectations. When it comes to first impressions, you want to meet the expectation of the person. However, when I want to be controversial with it, and that I don't agree at all, is that in order for us to look professional, we need to be wearing a black suit and a white shirt, and that just gives me like, and I get a lot, especially women, as I said, some men saying, I don't want to wear the tie, but so many women just really saying, I want to look professional, but I'm never going to be me wearing that, and I am absolutely, and I am all, as I said, for staying authentic to who you are. And when you actually equip yourself with the knowledge and understands how first impressions are creating, and how the clothes you wear help you and balance how you naturally come across to people, you will get to understand that you don't need to be wearing what everyone else is wearing. And I actually think that that is against your, it goes against your goals, as opposed to thinking I'm gonna be wearing X that I should be wearing, so I am being seen as a leader, I've been seen as too professional. So for example, I absolutely love jackets, but I wear very unconventional jackets. So for example, the one I'm wearing today is got super big shoulder pads, and I have colors and my earrings. So you know what I'm saying is, I am using a structured jacket to create credibility in a certain way, but I am teaming that up with colors and earrings that are me. So when I was working in the corporate world, before I started my business, I will just probably tone down a little bit the accessories, not to be that big. But what I refer by style personality is you actually need to stay true to who you are, and you can balance elements of the colors you wear and the styles you wear to actually create something that feels authentically you, but you actually seem like that leader and that go-to person that gets the promotion, that gets the client. So in the next two tips, I'm going to go a little bit more on detail into the colors and the styles and how that works. But here it's all about get to know your style personality. And for the guys, the same. Like, who say you just only going to have to wear X type of tie or X type of shirts, and is exploring a little bit how you want to be coming across that is in line with who you are. Are you a little bit more of a laid-back person? Are you a little bit more on a classic? And when you stay true to your style, you become more of who you are. And one of the reasons I love what I do is because obviously one big element of your personal brand is how you dress. And it's because for me, the way you present yourself is a creative way of expressing yourself, but also sharing with the world what you are about. So for example, my style is a little bit more dramatic, and hence the big rings and the big earrings. So I am staying true to who I am, but I know how to use the other elements to kind of create a desired outcome. So it's about you learning how to use those elements and balancing how you naturally come across, and then also that also works in line with your body language. So connect your style personality, understand, get to know it, and be true to who you are.
For sure. My next tip actually follows on from that. I'm going to talk about photography and also words and language, because those are the two sort of key areas that I do a lot of work in. I think that these are areas that do need attention. So my third tip is around considering your language and your imagery online. So I'm going to actually, I was going to start with talking about language, but I'm going to start with imagery because we have been talking about clothing choices, and these are really important considerations if you're having a professional profile photo taken, or some team photos, or even shots of you at work for a website. So really it is a really good idea to have a really good awareness first, perhaps working with a consultant if you're not sure, around the colours that suit you, the styles that suit you. But as a general rule of thumb, if you feel $1 million in it and you would see a client in that clothing, probably they're a good choice for your professional formal profile photo as well. I always sort of say to people, be yourself, wear the things that you feel good in, because if you don't feel like yourself, it will show in your face, in your photos, it will come across. So the most important thing, you know, I have clients from all different industries, and for photography, they have a lot of different things when I ask them, how do you want to be perceived? But one thing that they all say is that they want to look confident and professional. So yes, as Alba said, you do need to consider the professional context and maybe tone down some of those bits and pieces. You know, I'm wearing a very quite a loud necklace today, and being in a semi-creative field, I can get away with that in certain contexts. So it really depends where I'm going and who I'm seeing. I always try and be myself and wear things that I feel really comfortable with, but you do need to consider the context, and it is the same for photos as well. So consider the context, but be true to yourself. Incorporate an element of something that you love, a colour or a style, because then you're going to feel 100%, and that will show in your photos. You will look confident and professional. In terms of other imagery, it is okay to use happy snaps and selfies and things like that, say for example in your social media communications, but think about again the context and the audience. So it needs to be strategic. So if you're posting selfies all the time but there's not a purpose for it and it isn't on brand, then maybe you're just doing it because it's something that you enjoy doing, and that's not really going to help people's perception of you in the professional space. But if it's something that you feel is really important in your communications and it is a more casual sort of brand, then that's something you might consider. But in terms of your website or your formal profile photo for LinkedIn, you really do need to have something that looks professional, because otherwise you're saying that you're not professional or you're not paying attention to detail. And most people do want to be seen as people who notice the details and are professional in that workspace. In terms of language, so the kinds of words that you use need to really be consistent with your brand as well. So if you think about on your website, you might have taken a lot of care, or on your bio on LinkedIn, you might have taken a lot of care in the words you've chosen for how you are perceived. But what about just the posts that you're putting up on Twitter or Facebook that are more casual? If you are wanting to be seen as someone who is positive, then if you're constantly sort of putting things like, oh, I can't wait for Friday, bring on the wine, oh, what a day, you know, you're doing that mindlessly, but over time that does build up and form an impression. And we're all human, but you know, the world that we're in now is so it's just so out there for everybody to see. So you do need to take a little bit of care. It's not the same as talking to your friend over coffee. So just consider how those little things can make a difference to how people see you in terms of language.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'll go into my fourth one now, and this is all about your style. And this is now a style as such with your clothes. And as Julissa just said before, as I said, there's such actually big studies that demonstrate this, and the importance of looking good is bigger than you might be thinking. First of all, actually there is an assumption that is made when you see someone who is well put together. We make the assumption that that person respects herself and others, and the attention to detail that is put into how that person presents herself is assumed to be the same that the attention to detail that person has into what their actually job. That is absolutely unbelievable as to how, either we like it or not, we do judge a book by its cover. And the clothes and the fit of our clothes will have the ability to make us look so much more professional, intelligent, and demonstrate the actual capable person we are. And on the other side, which is absolutely what I love, that Julissa just also mentioned before, for me, is all the feeling behind the look. For me, I want everyone to be looking their best, and every single person, no matter the height, weight, background, length of the hair, everything can look attractive. And attractiveness is not about perfection. Attractiveness is about making the most of who you are. So every single person, and I want you to think of the last time you were going to a wedding or a party in which you put some effort, especially for men also applies. But for women, we're going into big extents, into the hair, the nails, the makeup, the clothing, and I think actually with the guys it's exactly the same. How did you feel when you look in the mirror? And you went like, wow, I look awesome. And when you like what you see in the mirror, you stand different, your body language changes, and I'm not even going to go into all the studies that is to show how that affects how you see yourself. And I want you to understand the big correlation there is between how you look, how you see yourself, how you feel, and then how you act from that perspective. So I want you to understand that this is so much more deep than skin deep, that it actually will affect your ability to make money and be noticed and get the promotion and be seen by opportunities, but it will have a massive impact on how you see yourself and how you stand and how you then communicate for a bigger place of confidence, because you know you are presenting yourself in such a good way. So in a meeting with a client or in front of a boardroom, you're not wondering, thinking, what are people thinking of me? Being scared of being judged. You just have taken care of that beforehand, so you can focus in communicating whatever is the area you are good at. So it's really important to understand that looking good will not only affect how people perceive you, and it will increase your presence, which we already talked about, but it also affects how you feel. And when you're feeling confident, you know you're going to be more assertive and more powerful with communications.
And my fourth point is around consistency with those communications, particularly in that online space. So your consistency of message we've talked about a little bit already, in terms of your attitude, the language that you use, the visuals, the way your photographs look, but also in terms of any other design elements visually as well. So if you have got a website, is it up to date in terms of the design? Is it, you know, these days websites do really date very, very quickly, and I'm in the process of looking at mine for that reason. And so really, not just in terms of the photos and the language, but the actual layout. Is it spacious? Is it modern and fresh? Does it look professional? If it is 5 years old or more, chances are it is out of date. So you do need to have a think about those visual cues and what that tells people as well. Even if it's subconsciously, and a lot of what we're talking about does work on the subconscious, it's the same online. It may not be, you know, when you do post that "thank God it's Friday" post, that people are going to think, oh gosh, she doesn't love her job, or he doesn't like his job, and, you know, just wants to go and have a drink and relax. But it could just be that if they're seeing these sorts of negative or more negative messages all the time, they're going to see you as someone who doesn't really feel passionate about what they do. It's the same with things like websites and photos. If they don't look professional and really, you know, competitive, then people are going to wonder whether maybe you're not doing that well. Even if it's not something they consciously think, it forms part of that first impression, so it's really important. So consistency would be my big one. And going back to that client we were talking about before, Jill, that we've both worked with. So in terms of my part of that project, we did a lot of work on a new website and some photography as well, and we've talked about those brand messages that inform those communications. And part of what we did after we had that website set up was how we're going to communicate and get the word out about this website and the things that you offer. So we came up with a regular week-by-week schedule, and that was for all her posts on social media and her articles that she was writing. So basically a content schedule that allowed her to really be strategic about, okay, what do I want to communicate this month? Do I have a workshop coming up? Do I want to just talk more about my personal experience working with these tools and techniques? You know, the kind of work that she does she want to highlight some client testimonials? Is there something seasonal coming up like Mother's Day that she could tie into her promotions? So planning in advance helps you to be strategic but also consistent, because you can schedule those posts, and these days most people know there are some really great tools that can do that for you, so you can almost set and forget. And then you've got that consistent communication happening that is on brand, and people are seeing your stuff as well. And this also applies for people who aren't necessarily running a business and have their own website. They might just be building their career profile online, and LinkedIn is a huge one for that, and one that I do a lot of work with. And that's an area that you might build up you might refresh your profile, you might then write some articles or even some video if that works with your brand.
Yeah.
And then look at, okay, what's my consistency around my messages, the topics that I talk about, the knowledge that I share, and how am I making sure that happens on a regular basis? So consistency is key for getting noticed and staying top of mind as well.
Absolutely. And something that just came to mind there is like you need to understand that doesn't really matter if you have your business or you're in the corporate world, you have a personal brand. And your personal brand is that element, is that icing in the top that is gonna help you be a standout, help you stand out for the promotion, for the client. So it's actually all these are elements that are going to help you monetize your brand, monetize who you are, and in a way that have you feeling confident, but it's also going to bring you more success into your life and your business. And that's what I want you to realize, that doesn't really matter if you have your business or you're in the corporate world, all these elements are relevant to you. None of them are excluded. And obviously, if you don't have a website because you don't have your business, then it would be your LinkedIn page. And actually, all these things translate into your one-on-one interaction. So everything that Julissa is saying for the online world, if you don't have your own business, they translate directly into your personal life. So then I just wanted to mention
Absolutely,
that.
yes.
So then my last tip will be all about color and the management of color, the use of color when it comes to impression management. And as I said before, even though I'm all for you feeling confident, looking great, we do need to manage the impressions we are creating. And color is a huge element that will help us do that. And not just color, but the contrast level that we create with the colors we wear around our face. So there's this area of our face that is called the vital V, and neuroscientific research shows that everything within that area is noticed when we are having those first impressions, when we first meet someone or when they jump into our website or our profile and they see us. So I want you to understand that colors can help you balance your credibility and approachability. And for example, going back to Jill, is understanding how you actually come across naturally. So Jill is a person that naturally comes across as a very approachable woman. And is kind of understanding, okay, I come naturally this way. And those elements, the way you come across to people will be based on how your features on your face, the contrast you're naturally creating with your, between your eyes, your hair, your skin, the clothes that you tend to use, the fit of the clothes, are they flowy, are they soft colors? So I want you to understand contrast level here, because it's really important to realize that just a little shift in those contrasts can have you notice. So when we create low contrast, and that is wearing colors that are very close to our skin, so let's say if I was wearing a beige cream jacket with a top that is in the same color, I will be creating low contrast within this part of my face, within the vital V. When we are wearing low contrast, we can go a little bit unnoticed. The reason for this is our brain actually picks up the contrast. So when there's low contrast, the brain doesn't pick too much of it, so it kind of keeps going. So low contrast is not appropriate when you're going to interviews, to networking events, or when you're going presentations from a stage. Because as I said, if you wear low contrast, the brain will struggle to find the contrast, and you might go unnoticed. Medium contrast is when we put two colors together that have a medium contrast, which is black and white, dark and light colors. So a brighter color and a dark color, like I'm doing here today, is a great example of a medium contrast. And medium contrast is always appropriate and the most people-friendly type of contrast to wear, ideal for interviews, even first dates, presenting from a stage, running webinars, all these kind of things. And then high contrast is when we put together two colors that are completely opposite to each other. So that is, let's say you're wearing a yellow top with a red jacket, or you have a tie that has purple and yellow. So when you create high contrast, you are seen as a very creative person. Nothing wrong with it, it's just that can take away from your credibility. So when we understand that the actual colors that we wear, and when that comes together with the fit, we can increase our approachability or our credibility, let's say scoring, then we realize that we can play with those elements to actually create a desired impression. So for example, with Jill, it was all about increasing a little bit the contrast of the colors that she was naturally wearing, so she could be seen and noticed a little bit more. So these contrast levels, as I said, that it is so simple, but there's such a big science behind it. And I was noticing that the other day. I wore a very low contrast. I like playing with this element. I wore a very low contrast dress, and I had plain makeup, and it was really interesting to realize while I was presenting the workshop, even though it was a small group of people, I noticed how I was getting, people were disengaged, or how different it is when you wear a top that actually works or a tie or a shirt that was with your complexion, and how people notice you more. So color helps you increase your presence. So I want you to just really start noticing if you're wearing a lot of low contrast. And I cannot even count the amount of clients I work with that just increasing a little bit of the level of contrast or changing the level of contrast they're wearing all the time, they start being noticed more. And all in line with what Julissa said as well, it's all about consistency. You need to make sure that how you're dressing, how you're using your body language, and how you are communicating are consistent. And then otherwise, one of the other elements is just gonna, you can be the best dressed person, but if you're not creating a strong presence and body language, you're not gonna stand out. So it's all about consistency when you communicate through your words, your body language, and your image. And that is how you're going to be standing out and creating that standard presence that people are gonna be drawn to.
That's really interesting, and that actually is absolutely true in photography as well. You know, part of we know when we have a photo shoot, we'll usually do a brief that gives people sort of some tips on, you know, what they should wear and what should they bring for their photo shoot. And one thing I always recommend is wearing block colours and having some contrast there as well.
Yeah.
The block colours work well for a couple of reasons for photographs. One is, as Alba said, it's about really standing out, and certainly with the example of Jill, I can actually see the photos that really had the most impact, and they were high contrast in terms of what she was wearing in the scene around her.
Exactly.
So we did a lot of photos on the beach because that's part of her brand. It's what she loves. It's where she feels inspired, and that was really important for her communications. And she does love those sort of beachy colours as well. But when she introduced some stronger colours like a purple, more fitted top with maybe a more floaty sort of white or floral shirt over it, or where she wore a structured dress sort of in this colour, standing out against the sand, the sand on the beach. Those were the shots that really were what I call the money shots.
Absolutely.
And that really is the ones that draw the eye and draw the attention. So it works online just as well as it works when you're presenting or at a meeting in person. So my final point, though, is actually on a different topic. It's just to be authentically you, and we both talk about this a lot in our work, and we have mentioned it today already. Whether you're in the corporate world or you're in an industry that is quite rigid in terms of your personal brand and how you present yourself, you can still bring some of your personality in. And I just want to talk in terms of your online communications now. So with your bringing who you are, think about your personality traits and the things that people say they enjoy about being with you and working with you. And it could be that you tell really funny jokes. You know, make sure that other people are the judge of that, though. Other people said that you tell funny jokes, because you'd be surprised. I know people think they're funny and they're not. But anyway, so if that's the thing, or if maybe you are a great storyteller, or you inspire others and build them up and make them feel good, what are those things about your personality that are really just come naturally to you and who you are every day that can be useful in your work and the people that you work with? It's of value to them, and see how you can draw that out. So for example, if you are a great storyteller or you are quite funny, and you're planning to write some blog posts or some articles on LinkedIn talking about the kind of work that you do, or building some knowledge for your audience around your area of expertise, how can you bring in some of that language that is you? Can you tell some you know, customer examples, some stories, some anecdotes? Can you bring in a bit of a funny side and still be professional? So it's bringing in a touch of who you are as a person authentically as well. Not trying to be someone you're not, just highlighting those aspects of you that are the best that you have to offer. And also just in terms of your passions. So this is something that I come back to maybe once a year for myself, and it's something that is really important, I think, is thinking about what you're passionate about in your work.
Absolutely.
I used to think that it was just a matter of saying, well, I love writing and I love photography and I love brands. I love working with brands. But you need to dig deeper in order to find what it is about you as an individual that is different from the next person who works in the same field. And that comes down to when you feel most in the flow, when you feel like you're being most effective in helping people, and what really makes you buzz when you're working. So, you know, when I'm thinking about writing, for example, what I love about having writing skills that I can use with my clients is that I can actually sort of work with them on what are their key strengths, what do they bring that's different about the next person in their industry or their competition, and putting that into clear words that their audience can really resonate with. That's what I feel really passionate about in terms of writing. You know, similar sort of things in photography and things like that. So really drilling down, what are your passions and how can you communicate that a little bit more. And if you're not currently working in a field that you feel passionate about, you might want to think on it a little bit in more depth. Maybe there are aspects of the job or skills that it requires you to do that you do feel really good about, something that you would carry forward no matter what you were doing, or roles that you've had before and that you want to maybe bring a little bit of that special skill in again into your next
That's a great
role.
idea.
Yeah, so that's me.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to take some questions now. We're going to start answering your questions. If you have many more, any more, you can write them down. So we're going to start with the first one we have here, and it says, I don't know where to start with my personal brand. Do I need to have clarity about who I am and where I'm going to start? That is such a great question. So
Yeah.
you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. A lot of the process that we both use actually is on getting that clarity, and that is the first point. And for me, that came a lot because I was doing so many, when I started my business, I was doing a lot of photography, and that was the main focus. But when I was asking people, what do you want, what image do you want to project? Who are you talking to? What are the main things you want people to understand about you that we could show visually? And people really getting stuck on that, whether they are experienced business owners or experienced in their career, or whether they are new to what they're doing. Now, in terms of working with individuals where they are defining their personal brand, quite often that is, they're also in the process of defining their next career move.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's mums returning to work and they're not sure how they want to use their skills, but they know they want to do it a little bit differently from what they've done before. So part of that process of working on your personal brand is getting clarity, and that's when you start to get some of those aha moments where you think of things just by talking it through with someone, for example. So definitely my answer to that question is you do not need clarity before you start working on a personal brand project.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more with that. Like for me, the systematic approach I use with my clients when we work in the personal brand is all about getting to know who you are. Because even though we think we know who we are, and when I start asking certain questions, I even sometimes have to go back to those questions myself. And it's really important to realize that the whole journey in working on your personal brand helps you understand who you are, and as Julissa said, your next move, is it getting to the next step in your career? Is it finding what is it that you want to do? And for me, your personal brand is the best way to get to know yourself better. So the process itself takes you through that. So no, you don't need to know where you start. Probably that is where you need to be, just really wanting to either go further or really knowing how to start.
And for some people that's confronting at first, you know, it's a challenge, it's a little bit scary, you know, what are you going to discover about yourself, or what are you going to have to reveal, and that's something that I think we both take really, really seriously with our clients, in terms of really making sure they feel safe and that they can talk about, you know, who they are. And it's, I think, I can't remember what the saying is now, but there is a famous saying that someone might be able to remind me of, about knowing, well, you know, knowing thyself, knowing yourself, and how that's the most important thing to know.
Absolutely.
And it's something that you keep having to revisit, and as you reinvent yourself. And you know, these days people change careers and roles regularly, several times throughout their life. So it's not, we don't have these fixed roles anymore in the society. So there is a lot of questioning around that we all do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So then the next question is it going to cost a fortune to prepare my outfits for a photo shoot? Oh, and I love this question. I love this question because I absolutely, I'm a true believer that when you understand your right fit and the right colors for you, and you have defined your star personality, and you understand how is your present going to look like, you're going to be surprised, first of how many things you already own that just need a friend to go with. And second, so yeah, we have wardrobes full of clothes that don't go with anything else we own. So shopping inside your own wardrobe can be very exciting. Second of that is we have these preconceptions about thinking, I can know where that, because of your age or whatever it is, the price tag. I just come here to demystify all those things. And then lastly is the fit and the color are the most important thing. You can have the most expensive suit in the wrong fit and the wrong color, and it's not going to do absolutely anything for you. So when you actually, and that is the experience I always have with my clients when I take them shopping, it's like, I can't believe I ended up spending less than I had budget for, and I ended up having more things, is because that is what I'm an expert on, really help you maximize who you are, how you look, and what you own already, and how to bring pieces. So no, the answer is no, you don't. It's not going to bring the bank. You're going to be surprised how, when there is professionals in these areas like me who understand how to create the best for you in a very efficient way, both financially and time-wise, you're going to end up getting really good results in under the budget and quicker than you absolutely possibly thought ever was going to be possible. So it's always like, I can't believe in 2 hours we got all that, and we created all these 20, 30 outfits. So it's more simple than you believe, and that is my passion, teaching you how to actually get to do it in that efficient way. Okay, the next question is, I don't normally like my photos taken. What can I expect from my photo shoot? Oh, I love that one too.
Oh, yes. And, you know, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, oh, I don't like having my photos taken, I certainly hate it. And that's why I like to be on the other side of the camera. But look, I think that is, I can only answer it in terms of the process that we use, in terms of what to expect for a photo shoot. Because photographers do vary, and some people have had good experiences with photographers and some have had not so good experiences. For us, as I said, it is about starting with who you are, your personal brand and your business brand, if that comes into it, and working out what you really want to get out of it and what you want to express and who your audience is, and what they're looking for as well. From there, really preparing, so having a brief, as I said, which sort of it might, depending on if you've got lots of things happening on your shoot, it might have a bit of a suggested schedule of, you know, we'll do your profile photos first, and then we'll do some shots of you at work, or team photos, things like that, depending on what you need. So you've got a bit of an idea of timing for each part, and also instructions on what to bring and the sorts of things that you should wear. And some clients do like to have quite a bit of guidance and advice with that, and others are quite happy just to have that list and work from there. But as I said, we always try and encourage people, while giving them some suggestions on what's going to look good on camera, helping people to really express themselves and who they are, being true to them in terms of what they wear. Location-wise, we don't do a lot of studio photography. We do some, but
which is better. Yeah, I love it.
What I love about it is the challenge of every day working in a new space and taking different photos that are not going to be the same for anybody else. Sometimes that involves going to people's workplaces, because that's the best context for their photos, and convenient as well, of course. So for example, corporate profile photos, people tend to have them at their office or on the city street, perhaps outside, or we'll come up with a location. Sometimes the client has a location in mind as well. It might be a favourite spot, or something that represents who they are. And then from there, I guess what to expect if you are if you're being photographed in a public location. You can sometimes expect people to stop and ask what's going on and watch a little bit, but they usually move on pretty quick and get bored. And you sort of forget after a while, because your photographer is telling you, now do this, do this, do this, and you're concentrating so hard that the 2 hours or whatever it is goes very quickly. Alba can tell you, she's done lots of photo shoots. But yeah, really, in terms of the way we work, we tell you exactly how to pose, what to wear, etc., so that you're not having to perform or improvise on the spot, and try and make it as comfortable and fun as possible.
Yes, it's lots of fun. She makes it lots of fun.
Well, you enjoy your photo shoots, and most people will either say, oh, that was really fun, or they'll say, that was a lot easier than I expected. So that is the ideal situation. It's not always the case, but definitely for us, and that's what we strive for.
Awesome. And then the last question is, I'm not 100% happy with how I look right now. Should I go ahead and work on my personal brand or wait? Ooh, that's exciting. In fact, because for me, I am all about bringing people to really realize that life is happening to you now, and you want the opportunities to happen now. You're waiting for either, I don't know, whatever it is, like, is it the weight, is it changing the hair color, is it I don't know, like I just even can use the example of I'm just getting married soon and I'm trying to get my fiance to buy the suit and he's just wanting till last minute till he exercises more so we can know exactly what is going to happen. I'm like, it's not happening. And I can tell you, this is 6 weeks away and it's not happening. So I will totally say this freely and openly for men and women, do not wait any longer. As I said, this is all about, there is a big component here, there is your mindset and understanding and getting to know who you are. And the process in which we both take you is a journey of you getting to feel really confident and really understanding how to make the most out of who you are online and in person. So knowing the styles, knowing the colors, working on your presence, working in all the online elements, and obviously the photographs are a result of a process that is already crafted for you. Obviously, if you show up and just go and do with your phone today without making the most out of who you are, probably you're not going to have the right result. But when you go through a specific process that we actually take you through, where you're going to be able to maximize and make the most out of who you are, definitely, I would say do not wait. And I will even go and say, stop saving clothes for that day when you lose weight or you put weight or that day when you have that event, because that might never happen. I think you need to make the most out of who you are today, no wasting for that day when things will happen.
Absolutely. And in terms of the photos, you know, I honestly, truly believe that everybody's got something visually attractive about them, and the photographer's job, if they know what they're doing, is to bring that out and to show that attractiveness. As Alba said before, it's not about perfection. It's about being your best self as you are today. So I would definitely second that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. So those are our 10 tips. And now we would like to get very quickly into sharing some very exciting news.
Did we, just before you do, did we have any last minute questions that came up?
No.
Okay, all right, great. If people do come across other questions or think things later on, just
we're always available here for you anyway. So and we have here a couple of slides to share with you, and to really, you will be able to see there our emails. So you will be able to so hopefully you can see that. So hang on a second, how do I go there? So we want to share with you some very exciting news, and this is something that we've been thinking about for a couple of years, and because we've been asked by so many people, we are very excited today to share with you and announce that we have launched our personal brand. There you go, personal brand presence and VIP package. And what this package is all about is you having the opportunity to work with both of us together to actually craft a standard personal brand that have you feeling and looking your best online and in person. So as you can see from that slide, you will get clarity on who you are and what you bring to your work. You will have the ability to clearly communicate that in person and in online. Remember, you can be the most capable, intelligent person. If you're not showing the world, you will go uncovered, unnoticed. Then you will have guidance by our expertise to draw out your own personal power. You will establish your personal brand presence in your business world. And remember, this is relevant to you if you are in the corporate world or if you own your own business.
So in terms of what you actually get in this VIP package as part of this deal, so you'll have your personalized style and color portfolio with Alba. You will have a personal brand photo shoot, and you'll get around 45 digital high resolution images, which means you can use them in lots of different ways, both online and in print, and you'll get plenty of variety there. You will have your LinkedIn bio, which is basically the summary section or the introductory section on your LinkedIn profile, written up so that it is positioned exactly how you want to be seen with your key messages. You'll have an outfit guide for your photo shoot, so you'll know exactly the best outfits that you should be wearing to look your best. And then you'll also, as part of the process, get quite a comprehensive personal brand profile, which is a great it's a great resource that you can use going forward to make sure that all your communications online and in person are on brand going forward. So that's basically what the package is about, but there is a lot more information on this link, so if you want to have a look and read more about it, it's newworkconsulting.com.au/personal brand presence. And as we said, if you've got any questions, feel free to let us know. So thanks very much for joining us today. Apologies again about the little technical details at the start, but I think we got there in the end. And sorry. Yeah, and I think we'll also be doing a follow-up, so you will have our details and the tips as well.
Yes, and you also will receive the replay of this presentation today. So as you said, this is the link if you want to read more about our new package, and these are our emails. So feel free to contact us, ask us any questions, anything that comes up based on this information we share with you today. We're here for you. We really enjoyed sharing with you today this hour, and you know, we really want you to start crafting your personal brand today, because it's really gonna have a big impact into your life and your business.
Thanks everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Bye.